Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker shills, Netsley, Sir, spouses, vassals, minions, meat sacks, robots. I'm Useful8. Welcome. I just did a video about AI, and a lot of warnings we're getting about job losses moving forward. But I wanted to do another video on AI and talk about individual components. And these two videos will be great to watch together because I'm going to go into some facts that show the overall trajectory of AI and what kind of effects they're going to have. So the first thing I want to talk about is messaging. And so the big AI companies have a narrative they have to stick to because they're heavily investing precariously using debt, for example, now. They have a lot of at stake to maintain this narrative that AI is going to be a great thing and it's going to have nothing but positive effects. And they got to protect their investments and have AI continue to grow. So they're downplaying AI, and they're talking about the idea that AI replacing all these jobs is fear porn, so that's part of their message. And as I pointed out, they're talking their own book. They have a narrative to protect their interest in AI, so that has nothing to do with reality. And then the fact that essentially they have control of media. Certainly, all these tech giants have a lot of sway, and a lot of them own a lot of the media, and so they're controlling the media to make sure all the messaging about AI is positive for them. And of course, those two uh, uh, people that just quit from Google and talked about propaganda and the fact that these AI companies are uh, uh, disguising and covering the realities both of job replacement by AI and also denying the fact that there's a bubble. And that's a big part of this. They're all denying that there's a bubble, but there's a bubble. And I'll do another video on that at some point. So then we look at number two is progress, the progress of AI. And I've talked about that before. The progress of AI is exponential now. There's no reason to believe moving forward in 2 or 3 years it's going to have more and more profound effects. Unless there's a crash, I could throw a monkey wrench in there. But the IQ increase in AI, it's certainly a lot cheaper than humans, and a lot of it has to do with profit maximization. And they pointed out that since 2019, the capability of AI has doubled every 7 months. And so that gives you an idea. In 7 months from now, the capabilities of AI will double, and then it'll double again after that. So a little over a year and a half, the capacity is going to increase uh, by what 200%. And so they moving forward, um, we're going to the integration of automation and AI and the development of super intelligence. That's going to increase things even more exponentially. And I've heard people in the industry talk about 100% or 1,000% increase in the capabilities of AI integrated with those elements. And then we have all the jobs that are can be targeted by AI, and I've talked about those in other videos. And I've seen the discussion that anything done on a computer is going to be a target for AI, and that the interface between AI and automation. So you have a wide swath of white collar work, and then you have a wide swath of blue collar work. So nobody's really safe at the lower levels. And there's even been some CEOs that have been speaking out there that talk about the fact that even their jobs can be replaced. But AI is advancing, and AI advances other AI, so that's going to increase things exponentially, and AI will be training AI, and that's another thing that's going to make AI grow exponentially. And so all these different fields, and I talked about some other ones, but graphics and documents and data and writing and advertising and all those kind of jobs, there's lists a mile long of all the jobs that are vulnerable to AI. I'll attach a bunch of links below. Anybody that's interested in this topic or thinks I'm full of hyperbole, there's a bunch of links below that are really good. And so if you want to take a deep dive into all the stuff I'm talking about right now, there's some great material. And so number three is the effects. In 10 years, for example, with self-driving cars. And of course, we're having a lot of issues with self-driving cars, and Waymo's been having big issues. and but they're out there and they're using them. So once again, blue collar jobs are going to be targeted with automation and robotics and AI, because any driving jobs, which is a huge portion of the population, you have Uber drivers, you have DoorDash drivers, you have a lot of business automobiles, and then of course the trucking industry. And so moving ahead 10 years, um, we could see a lot of those kind of jobs being targeted, and it's not on a lot of people's radar. Imagine that what does automation and AI have to do with driving? But it'll have a big effect. And once again, if you're a big business, a corporation, a big national grocery chain, all these different businesses, you can bet they're going to move to self-driving vehicles when they can and eliminate all these drivers. And then number four is looking forward to the future. In 2040, there's predictions that there'll be 10 billion robots in service. And right now, China's up to 1 million robots that they're using in their country. And it's getting pretty sophisticated. Amazon's, of course, is using a lot of robots now. But the prediction is that in 2040, robots will be everywhere. And I think it was Elon Musk that said there'd be like 10 billion robots. But boy, thinking ahead, 15 years, um, that could be realistic. I would kind of think that maybe it'd be 20 years, but I don't know. The way AI is exponentially moving forward, it's quite possible we could see as all these mechanisms get perfected, that everybody's going to move that way. And of course, the more they create, the more the prices go down, the more appealing it will be to everybody that wants to use robotics. But one of the other problems, of course, with AI is that it's going to affect, even besides the job losses, those job losses and the change in hierarchies at different corporations and the nature of employment, it's going to spill over into a lot of other things. Of course, one of them is taxation. And the other thing is the consumer base. Right now, the upper middle class is doing most of the consumption. There's an idea that a lot of consumption is at the lower level, but the top level is doing the elites and the 1% and 10%. They're doing a lot of consumption. Of course, the elites on a huge scale of luxury items and houses and yachts and jewelry and art and that sort of thing. But the middle class is sustaining our consumer culture right now. So the fact is that a large swath of the poor, the working poor, and the lower middle classes, all their jobs could be eliminated, and it wouldn't really have a huge effect on consumer culture in some respects. There's some companies that would have to make an adjustment that sell Cheetos, for example. If the poor people don't have jobs, Cheeto sales are definitely going to drop. But I could see that AI replacing all these jobs, a very large proportion of the population could have their jobs eliminated, and the effects would be relatively minimal. And that goes for taxation as well. Certainly, if a lot of people lose their jobs and that tax base disappears, there could be some ripple effects. But once again, if you get rid of all the poor people whose tax levels are relatively low, one could eliminate a lot of these lower working poor and lower middle class and still have a fairly decent tax base. But of course, moving forward, taxes are going to continue to go up, so that'll help compensate for that. And the list of jobs that could be affected is 50 to 70% of all the jobs there are right now. So that's a pretty scary figure, and that's in line with the other video I did. And I did see some analysis that talks about 500 years of doom predictions, and they say that the idea that AI is going to have a devastating effect on humanity and that's going to turn on humanity are not realistic, because so many dire predictions of the last 500 years didn't turn out to be true. But let's face the fact that a lot of them did turn out to be true. I would hate to be in the horse saddle industry when automobiles came along. But I think this time is different. I think it's completely different. And these comparisons in the Industrial Revolution and then the information age, and now moving forward into robots and automation and AI, and completely different. Unlike all these other scenarios in the past, not a lot of these new jobs are going to be created if AI and robots can do nearly everything and do it better and faster and cheaper. That's the bottom line. Businesses and corporations want faster and cheaper, and that tells me right there that this will be the future, and a lot of jobs are going to be lost. So there you have it, another close-up picture of AI, and once again, I'll put some links below and check them out. I'm Useful Idiot. Don't you be one too.